So today, a judge in New York issued a ruling that nobody wanted. Nobody, that is, except this guy. That's right, this guy, who you might recognize if you live in New York, or maybe you'll recognize him anyway, is Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. And the court just dismissed the case against him. Now, let me try to explain why he's standing there holding that book and what this whole case is about. So Eric Adams is indicted by the Southern District of New York federal prosecutors over serious corruption charges, over things like bribery, things like accepting gifts from foreign nationals in exchange for using his political office to benefit them. Very serious corruption charges. So what happens next? We now have a new administration coming into town. We have a new attorney general, a new Justice Department. So Eric Adams and his lawyers try to bypass the Southern District of New York prosecutors and go to the Justice Department to see if they can somehow make this case go away. And we're not present in this meeting between the Justice Department lawyers and Eric Adams' team, but we know a little bit about what goes on from one of the prosecutors who is present and understands what's going on here. And essentially what happens in this meeting is there is a quid pro quo. There is a bargain that is struck. And it is too good to be refused. It's actually quite a bit like this.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
So what does that deal that is too good to be refused look like? Well, it is essentially this. Eric Adams will do the bidding of the administration when it comes to their immigration enforcement policy. And in response, the Trump Justice Department will make the charges go away. They'll make the charges go away. They'll dismiss this proper, valid, evidence-based prosecution of Eric Adams for corruption go away if he'll do the president's bidding on a completely unrelated policy matter. So all seems to be going pretty well for Eric Adams until the Justice Department instructs the prosecutors in New York at the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office to drop the charges. Now, you need to know something about the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office. I served in California in the Central District of California. We took a lot of pride in our U.S. Attorney's Office. But the Southern District of New York is known for their independence. They're known for really having some tough-ass, hard-charging prosecutors that do their own thing. That is, they have a measure of independence from the Justice Department, from the mothership, unlike other U.S. attorneys' offices around the country. Well, these prosecutors in New York say no. They say no to the Justice Department lawyers because this is a valid prosecution on serious charges. And what's more, it sounds like an improper, illegal quid pro quo. That is, the deal stinks and may be unlawful in addition to everything else. This deal to make the charges go away if the mayor will do the president's bidding on immigration. So they say no. And one after another, they have to resign from office. One of those lawyers who resigned wrote a scathing letter, which has been made public, in which the prosecutor says that this is a bad idea. This is, by the way, a very conservative lawyer who clerked for one of the conservative justices on the Supreme Court. And he says, basically, this is a bad idea. And maybe no one within earshot of the president will tell him what a terrible idea this is. But you might find some fool or some coward who will go along with this, but that was never going to be me. So they're gone, these prosecutors in New York. And not just them, but it results in a cascade of resignations at Main Justice, because lawyers there also won't go along with this unethical conduct. And finally, it falls upon one of the top Trump appointees, Emil Bove, to do the dirty work, and he does. And so they move to dismiss the case. But the judge, the federal judge in New York, does something extraordinary. He undoubtedly sees that something is rotten in the state of Denmark, in this case in the state of New York, and he demands a hearing before he'll dismiss these charges. And here you have the odd situation where the prosecution is arguing for dismissal, the defendant is arguing for dismissal, they're both on the same side, they all want the case to go away for different reasons, and the judge recognizes this is not in the public interest. And he wants to know legally, what authority does he have to say no to the Justice Department? You must prosecute this case. That would be truly extraordinary. There was actually a circumstance very much like it in the first Trump administration, when they tried to make the charges against Michael Flynn go away. If you remember that saga, Michael Flynn, who pled guilty twice, and they still wanted to dismiss the case. So here the judge brings in a conservative lawyer named Paul Clement. He was a Republican Solicitor General. They bring him in to advise the court on what the court's remedies are. Now bear in mind, what the administration is asking for here, what the Trump Justice Department wants here, is the case dismissed, but not completely dismissed. They want it dismissed without prejudice. Now what that means is they want it dismissed, but in such a way that they can bring the case back later if they choose to. Now, why do they want it dismissed without prejudice, as opposed to dismissed with prejudice, in which case the case goes away and can never be brought again? Why do they want it done the first way? Well, the answer is they want that case, that prosecution, to hang over Eric Adams' head like the sword of Damocles, where it can be dropped on his head anytime he steps out of line, anytime he says something the president doesn't like, anytime he doesn't do what the president wants on immigration or anything else. They want to be able to threaten him. Mayor, you stay in line, damn it, or we're going to prosecute you, and we've got the indictment just waiting. So the judge hears basically argument from this third-party lawyer who's brought in as essentially a friend of the court, and the friend of the court says, you really can't force the Justice Department to prosecute a case. I mean, how would that work if they're not really willing to do it? Can you force them? And his answer is, you really can't. And so the judge deliberates on this and ruled today to dismiss the case. But importantly, he dismisses it with prejudice. And therefore, these charges can never be brought again, which makes Eric Adams very happy. He's the only winner here. In the judge's opinion, Judge Ho says everything here smacks of a bargain. Dismissal of the charges in exchange for immigration policy concessions. Everything smacks of a bargain. And indeed, it does. The worst kind of bargain. Now, I showed you that image before of Eric Adams. Here it is again. But let me let you see what he had to say about why he's standing in front of the mayoral residence holding up this book.
And New Yorkers stop me all the time in trying to find the rationale behind this. And I found it in this book. I'm going to encourage every New Yorker to read it. Read it and understand how we can never allow this to happen to another innocent American. God bless you.
So this book, Government Gangsters, written by that well-known author, that great author, no less than conspiracy theorist Kash Patel, director of the FBI, this January 6 election denier turned FBI director, wrote a book some time ago about government gangsters, essentially with an enemies list for the president to investigate and prosecute. I mentioned with great fondness in that section of the book. But this is the hack Kash Patel's book. And there Eric Adams is promoting the book after he gets this great decision from the court. Why on earth? Well, there are really two reasons why Eric Adams is promoting this book. Number one, because the thesis of this book was that the Justice Department was horribly weaponized under that well-known partisan Merrick Garland. A pure fiction, but a constant fiction offered by the whole Trump and MAGA world. But the more important reason is this is Eric Adams' way of saying thank you to Kash Patel and to Pam Bondi and to all the others who essentially conspired together to make the legal case against him go away. So this is his thank you. Buy my friend's book. So who loses in this case? And is this a one-off? Well, first of all, it's not a one-off. Sadly, we see all kinds of abuses of the Justice Department. In addition to this case, the Justice Department sought to criminally investigate a major U.S. bank, Citibank, because it was the repository of funds from an environmental grant program that was established by statute during the Biden administration. So they want to go after funds that can be used for renewable energy projects, and in order to do it, they want to contrive some criminal case out of thin air. So they ask a prosecutor to do it. And the prosecutor says, I can't do that. There's no probable cause. You can't just announce a criminal investigation or open one because of some political purpose. Well, they don't accept that. And so she is fired. She's out. She's gone. She's resigned. She's gone. They then try to bring the case before a magistrate because they get someone else, in this case, the acting U.S. attorney, Martin in D.C., to do the dirty work, which he's only too happy to do. But they can't get a magistrate to go along with it either. But it shows the willingness to abuse the Justice Department. In my old office that I mentioned, the Central District of California, recently, Adam Schleifer, a well-respected prosecutor there, was fired, received an email firing him. And why? How did he get fired? Well, he got fired because he is prosecuting a corporate CEO that apparently has connections, and the corporate CEO takes a 5-year-old tweet from this prosecutor, one that actually complimented my handling of the impeachment case, sends it to right-wing commentators like Laura Loomer. Here's an image of her tweet attacking what she calls a Biden holdover, this prosecutor, this well-respected prosecutor. And no worries the fact that he was appointed by Donald Trump. The facts don't seem to matter much. But nevertheless, within hours, he gets an email saying you're fired. Now, the Justice Department itself doesn't even know about this. It all goes to the White House. The White House reaches into this case, fires the prosecutor because a CEO and his defense team can push out material to get the political attention, the attention of the political operatives in the White House, and make the prosecutor go away. That may be just the first step in trying to make the case go away. So who loses here? You lose. The American people lose. We all lose. The interest of justice is the loser here, because what it will mean is more corruption in the Central District of California, more corruption in the Southern District of New York, more corruption in your hometown, more corruption among elected officials. And why? Not because any of these prosecutors handling the case in the Central District of California or in the Southern District of New York, not because they were corrupt. They were doing their job and doing it properly, but because of the corruption at the top of the Justice Department, the corruption of Pam Bondi, the corruption of Kash Patel, and the corruption of Donald Trump. Hey everybody, so I started to make these nightly videos because I kept hearing from people with everything going on, it'd be nice to have some explanation at the end of the day that helps make sense of it all. So that's what I've tried to do, but I would love your feedback, and if you'd like to continue the conversation, please join along. But let me know, are there subjects you want me to cover? Are there movie clips you want me to include? As you can tell, I'm a movie fan, but I hope we'll get to continue the conversation and welcome your feedback.